and getting out.
Oh, and Baby Bay turns around for the sick headshot.
It's time for the third match here of Stage 2. Welcome back to the Overwatch League. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and I've got the full desk back with me right now. We got Sideshow, we got Crumbs, and we got Zoe for this final matchup. Zoe, we got the Battle of California once again. San Fran going up against LA. How's everybody feeling in the venue?
Oh, I'm excited. Is the venue excited? It was actually directed at you. So yeah, they're joining me in my excitement.
Your people. They've been cheering all day.
Humans.
It's Wednesday and we had a sold-out crowd. Big shout out to everyone there. And I want to get into what we've seen so far today. We mentioned there's new maps, there's new rules. Mercy has been out. Everyone else that plays support is in. And if you look at the overall schedule, you'll see that we have our teams that we kind of expected to shine at the start of Stage 1 back at their top form. Seoul Dynasty a 4-0 over the Valiant, much different compared to their Stage 1 matchup. And now the Dallas Fuel shown their strength against the Shanghai Dragons.
I think what we're seeing now is that Sombra is actually pretty damn relevant, and these teams are going to have to learn how to play with and against it, which is a very different playstyle because health packs and timings with her abilities are very important.
Well, we know our first team loves to use her. Let's see if the LA Gladiators will be bringing out Surefour on that hero today. And as we bring out our teams, we got to talk about the roster changes. Some improvements have been made. And I know a lot of people are excited to see a new main tank playing for the Gladiators today, Sideshow.
Yeah, this guy, Fisher, has been added to the team from the London Spitfire, and he's been one of the best tanks just ever. The guy has been absolutely fantastic. Monty called him the best tank of 2017 overall.
Best tank of 2017, and he's about to make his first time on the main stage in his purple jersey. Give it up for the LA Gladiators.
A great addition to this team. He came from the London Spitfire, an incredible stacked roster with Gesture as their main tank. And Fisher was not satisfied by being just swapped in and out every now and then. He wanted to have that position in the starting lineup. He wanted to have more playtime. That's something he's going to get with the Gladiators.
Now, Sideshow, you mentioned it. Fisher, if you guys aren't familiar with him, is the man sitting next to Surefour. What does Fisher bring to the table? What was Gladiators missing?
I think what Gladiators was missing was potentially a tank that doesn't just create space and go very aggressive like iRemix does, but also one that can balance that with being able to play a little more passive and to help out his supports at times as well, or go a little more solo rather than just with a single-minded focus of diving.
Well, across the board for Fisher, he's actually #1 and #2 in most damage stats as well. So while he does die just as much as Remix, he's able to provide a lot more for the team. And I think that's what this team really wants, because when we looked at them at the end of Stage 1, we're thinking, what would this team look like if they improved their play around the tanks? And this is what we hope to see today.
They're coming into the match at 4-6, now trying to right the ship in Stage 2. That is a look at the Los Angeles Gladiators. But now it's time to introduce their opponent. Please give it up for our Orange Squad, the San Francisco Shock. Now, unlike the Gladiators, the Shock entered today's match with the same roster. No moves have been made, but we are expecting to see some role change.
And no moves from them, but what they are banking on is the meta changes. The fact that they no longer have to play Lucio is going to, or rather Mercy, is a complete breath of fresh air for this squad, because they did not enjoy playing Mercy. It was very apparent in the statistics as well as the play. And now that they finally have the Lucio, we get to see what Dak is all about and how this team plays around him.
Yeah, so they didn't actually have a new addition to the roster of players, but they do have a new addition to the coaching staff with Junkbuck. And they actually had an AMA video coming out with Coach Brett and Junkbuck the other day, and they were very tight-lipped. In fact, Junkbuck has been cutting off Coach Brett, who was about to elaborate on the meta shift and how that will actually help Shock. But Junkbuck just called him, like cut him off, and talked over him, saying, no, we're not gonna... We're not saying anything to that.
We won't play Lucio.
Don't show any cards yet.
He didn't want to show anything.
I absolutely love that as well, though, because this is a roster, or a team rather, that needs rejuvenation coming into Stage 2. And we've seen this already from Dallas. We've seen it from Shanghai as well, at least on Hollywood. And so I really believe that going forwards here, we could see a whole different look from many of our teams in the bottom half of the standings, and San Francisco in particular.
So let's talk a little bit about these changes now. You are playing in Stage 2 with a whole new setting. who is going to benefit from it more? Is it San Francisco who's bringing in Dak?
I mean, yes and no, because you have a player that was struggling. He was at the bottom of the pack when it comes to Mercy. Very questionable. His improvement was minimal towards this later half of stage 1, but we clearly saw this team trying to go against the grain and playing the Lucio. You see him right here. This is what he likes to do. He likes to flank Widowmakers as Lucio. You don't see this from absolutely anybody else. We got to look at it twice because he did it twice. And this is just the style that this guy brings, and we didn't get to see that in stage 1 because of the Mercy being involved. What creative strategies this team has, I think, is actually worthwhile keeping a tight seal on it.
Yeah, and this kind of core has been around for a while in terms of the coaching staff and Dak playing alongside them, and they normally come up with unusual kind of weird strategies when they approach things. They don't like to play kind of standard dive. They often play around big star players like Baby Bay. And they have these weird niche strategies like flanking with the Lucio rather than just playing default. So now that they can play weird stuff, I think they will.
So
About to get weird.
They're as hipster as San Francisco, really, just embodying the city.
Time to grow out your mustaches, boys. All right, so that's a look at the San Francisco Shock.
I will, actually.
Me
Grows
too.
powerful down there.
There we go.
Good luck, Zoe. I've been trying
Ow.
for 31 years. It's still not working. Sideshow, let's hit the Gladiators, though. A lot of people don't know the man because he didn't play enough while he's on the Spitfire. Fissure is in the lineup, and we have some highlights of this guy. Why is he such a big threat to shut down in this first map?
He's just been so consistent for so long on this on this play. On this tank, rather. And Fissure's got so much skill when it comes to playing Reinhardt as well, so if they move over to that kind of stuff, I expect him to be excellent. The guy had such sneaky plays when he played a couple of times for London Spitfire, and Monty was calling him the best tank of 2017. We were thinking of him as a top 3 tank in the league, and he barely got any playtime.
And I think it's worth mentioning that you get a guy that comes from the team that just won stage 1. He's going to spill all the secrets of the LA Gladiators. Now they know what a winning team's formula looks like, and they can start applying that to their own play, their work ethic, how they practice. Like, this should be a huge upgrade for the
The
Gladiators.
secret sauce. I love it. Zoe?
Well, you know what? I was first questioning it because Fissure doesn't really speak English well, if at all, actually. However, with Bijou as his tank partner, who actually does speak Korean, and if you think of it really, like, how much do you really need to talk as the tank there? You just make those short calls, call out a name, call out a hero, and that should be pretty clear to everyone. So I thought it could maybe not work in their favor, but overall I think Fissure is just so good that it doesn't even matter if they understand each other.
I'm excited to see the playstyle from the Gladiators today. They've shown us triple DPS. They've shown us so many tanks. What are they bringing to the table? Let's start here with our official predictions. First time watching both of these teams here in the new meta, starting with you, Sideshow. Gladiators or San Francisco Shock?
I think it's so weird coming into this one, actually, because we've seen 2 completely different metas from the first game and then going into the second game. I feel like they are the underdogs coming into this one, but if San Francisco Shock can find their kind of style coming into it and really work on the fact that they can build around Baby Bay and Dak, I think they're the ones for me. I'm going with San Francisco Shock.
I got to give a shout out to the man on the front row here. Biggest Shock fan in the venue right there. He's been to every single one of their matches. Let's keep it going here on the desk, though, Crumbs. There's the Shock fan. Are you going to make him happy?
No, I'm not. I'm going to make him very sad, actually. So last time these 2 teams played, I would have gone with the Gladiators going again, and now the Gladiators made a huge upgrade, and the San Francisco Shock's upgrade is Lucio being in the meta. I'm going with the Gladiators. I think they're going to have it even harder than last time.
The hometown crowd seeming to go with the LA team. You got some supporters here, Zoe?
Oh, well, what he said. I'm going to go with the Gladiators. I think Fissure's just such a massive upgrade for them. That's going to be really, really tough for the San Francisco Shock.
All right, both of these squads looking to make up ground on our leaderboard. Let's see how they kick off their stage 2 as we send it backstage to our casters. It's Monty and Doa.
Thank you, Puckett. Here we are getting ready to kick off the final match of the day here on the first day of Overwatch League Stage 2. LA Gladiators taking on San Francisco Shock. And yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of upgrades on both these teams. Well, one major one on Gladiators, but on the San
Upgrades are still waiting on the San Francisco roster.
I actually have a point.
Oh.
I think that being able to have Dak back on the Lucio primarily instead of the Mercy is actually a big upgrade for San Francisco. So yeah, Sinatra and Supar out there somewhere, right, watching this match. But Dak is going to be unleashed in this one. So I think we're in for a great match. It's going to be Hanamura first off. I love it.
I think, unfortunately, in this matchup, the Lucio advantage also will benefit Big Goose, who is a fantastic Lucio player in Contenders, on Giganti, which won the EU Contenders. So I think that the Lucio edge isn't enough to offset Fisher. And as Sideshow said, I think Fisher was the most consistent tanks. I don't think he hit the same highs that Gesture did by the time we saw Apex Season 4. But over the course of the whole year, I think Fisher was just incredibly consistent in terms of his tank play. And I think that upgrade, we asked ourselves, how are the Gladiators going to get better coming into this next stage? And I really felt like they had hit a ceiling, and the only way they were going to get better is to get new players. And what an upgrade this guy is. I think he's definitely a top 3 tank in this league. And I don't know how you're really going to combat that if you're the San Francisco Shock. It's still a waiting game for the rest of their roster to come of age.
Sure enough. Yeah, I think on the Gladiators side too, the meta change, having Big Goose be able to go back to Lucio, also enables Bishu a little bit to play more aggressively. He wants to be an aggressive diva, and most maps we see him on, but I feel like he kind of wrestled in stage 1 between putting pressure on the enemy team and protecting his back line, and sometimes those two things didn't work out too well for them. So now that Big Goose can kind of take care of himself a little bit more, I think you're going to see Bishu be able to kind of come into his own when he's on that diva. On the Orisa right now, but
yeah, we are going to
on the diva soon.
Yeah, we are going to head into this one with the Shock on defense. Dak will actually be playing the Ana, so no Lucio at least at first on the side of the Shock. It will be in the hands of Big Goose, however.
Sure enough, well, here we go. Gladiators on the offense, got the dive going on with the Genji, with the Tracer, and they are going to probably go in pretty quick here. That's the whole point of dive, isn't it? Fisher taking a bit of damage.
They're waiting for Surefour to flank around the backside right now, so he's going to be the trigger. Once he gets into the back line, they're going to collapse. There he is. They're diving for him.
Yeah, that's right. Trying to get onto those juicy supports, but Fisher goes down. Sleepy with the kill right off the bat. This guy's been showing up on Zenyatta all stage long. There goes Hydration. San Francisco with a good start.
And they couldn't get the pick. You could see Surefour was already wrapped around the backside, but too many members of the San Francisco Shock backed into that corner. They had the biotic grenade to work with.
Yeah.
And Fisher not getting the healing. Surefour is still there, as we can see, but has to use that rewind early. That is going to delay this attack. He needs his rewind to be able to go in.
Yeah, I got hit by a Helix rocket there. And
yeah, that's why they're waiting right now.
Yep.
Everybody's waiting for his rewind.
Cool down now, almost up. It's up now. Now it's time to go in. Bishu getting in the back. Now they get Shaz. Oh, both Zenyatta's falling, actually. Bishu looking for a little bit more, brawling it out here, getting some heals, but not enough. He will be debagged. Oh, and tossed right off the map. Booped by Nevix, and San Francisco holding again here. Surefour on the point, being a bit annoying, but the rest of this team, except for Fisher, has fallen.
Well, Sleepy left behind outside of the choke point in that attack because Dante zipped behind knowing they were going in. One clipped the Zenyatta and then returned to his team. So looked good at first, but they couldn't hold on, especially with the lack of supports. They're going to come back before Sleepy and Dak can get back, however.
Yeah, they're just going to walk right on, and now it's a counter dive from San Francisco trying to get back on the point. Transcendence, though, from Gladiators, keeping him in the game here, and Nomi just biding his time. He's got that primal rage if he needs it. Baby Bay, ooh, gets cut down by Hydration's Dragon Blade. He's going to back away, try to get out of range of the self-destruct. They've got one tick already. Gladiators looking for more. Little bit of trouble here for Nevix. He's going to get demacked, going to get taken out, and Dak falls to Bishu. So that should be point A for Gladiators.
And that's one of the times you can see the downfalls of using the Ana. Yes, the Nano Boost was used onto Nomi, but it was immediately canceled out by the Transcendence. Everybody standing on top and nobody getting low as a result of the Winston. And they still afterwards, after Manchik Trances had the sound barrier, just to move through and clean up the rest of that fight. However, Gladiators are not going to be able to snowball. Hydration wants to move to the Roadhog after this, and Big Goose is going to be over on the Ana, so they're going to play the high ground also with Surefour of the 76. They had already used all their ults. It was a great time to make a change.
That triple tank and Soldier 76 from Gladiators. Dante down early. Surefour catches him with the right click. Now Hydration turning. They're chasing Nomi back off of the point. And will they go in? Yeah, it's the time. Hydration dives towards the point here. Big Goose takes on Sleepy. In the meanwhile, and Fisher looking for a bit of healing here. He's got the primal rage. He's got the durability. Trying to harass Baby Bay, who pops that tack visor. Nomi gets Surefour, so maybe. Yeah, Bishu demacked. It looks like the Gladiators' attack getting a little bit scattered here. Oh, but the Transcendence comes in from Shaz. That was very late. They gotta capitalize on this. coming in, but no, they're losing more people. Only the tanks up there, and Big Goose just can't keep them alive on his own.
Ill-advised Transcendence on the backside of that fight. There were still several members left, but because the DMEC had already occurred, it was a hook onto Bishu that killed him, and Transcendence has these very, very low value.
Yeah.
They're going to have a nano boost, and they do have Sherpa with attack visors. A nano visor. May see that combination coming in. If they don't want to work Fisher up to 100% ultimate charge, could go in and him on the point as well.
Pretty solid combo if they can keep Surefour safe. Gonna have to protect him with that defense matrix. Sleep Dart comes out from Big Goose. Don't think that connected with anybody. They're trying to take this high ground here.
Yeah, slowly, methodically. It's two poke comps against each other, so we're not going to see a dive onto the high ground from the side of the Shock. They're just trying to find an opening.
Yeah, Nomi comes in. Oh, wow, a little bit too early. Good focus fire from Gladiators. Now the Sleep Dart onto Surefour. Dak hits a big one. And San Francisco with that Transcendence has time to push the Gladiators back. Surefour falling soon. Self-destruct comes in from Nevix. He's going to jump right back in the mech. And Gladiators, once again, forced to regroup.
And that was a hell of a Sleep Dart from Dak. That shut down two ultimates at the same time and stalled out the Gladiators' attack. Had they been able to get a good nano visor up, would have been a very different story on that point.
Yeah, that was an epic dart from Dak. And you talk about this guy and his Lucio, and he says, you know what? I'm going to show you I'm pretty good on the Ana, too.
That was really clutch. As you see, it's his first time playing Ana in an official match here in the Overwatch League stage.
Yep. I've only seen him really on Mercy and Lucio and Owl so far. Baby Bay, oh, gets dove by Fissure. Nice pick there. Gladiators looking to capitalize as they jump on a point. B, Nevix goes down. Fissure with another one. He got the boom. Dak pulled in. Doesn't die, but no, Fissure right there. Coming up big. The acquisitions are very valuable for Gladiators right now. The Nano Hog, hydration keeping everybody bottled up at spawn, and that's going to be enough to take point B with 2:36 left on the clock.
That was an incredibly high impact play from Fissure. They didn't expect him to be coming onto the balcony on the side. Instantly kills Baby Bay, who had his tac visor up and ready to go. So you eliminate a big ult right there, also simultaneously taking down Nevix and making it back to his team. So crazy good individual play from Fissure.
I mean, you're already seeing, without a doubt, that this guy has brought a major impact to how this team engages. And check it out, takes on Baby Bay, no tac visor for him, gets the boop onto Nevix.
Yeah,
no charge there available, and he's not done yet, man.
Yeah, doesn't have the rocket boost. He's going to jump in onto Dak after hydration lands that hook.
Wow, great stuff from Fissure, and a really strong start from the LA Gladiators. San Francisco Shock with a turn to equalize here as they will be moving to attack on Hanamura.
And we've seen it.
I can tell he's excited. You're excited out there.
Yeah, they definitely are. The San Francisco Shock have been hot and cold on assault maps. They were pretty good on Anubis in stage 1, but they were atrocious on Horizon Lunar Colony. I think compared to their average level of play, or a team's average level of play, that map was one of the worst in the entire league. Either that or London Spitfire and Oasis, if we compare performance from average to the absolute bottom on a specific map.
Is that expensive for Ramen? I don't know. I don't know the conversion rate for Yen. Not sure.
I think
that
that's
might
like
have been-
$7 to $9 about Doa.
Or a $700 ramen. It's got to be some great.
It's $7 to $9.
It is, you know, it is like what, 60 years in the future?
Oh yeah, it is 60 years in the
Yeah.
future. It could be wrong. It could be like $70.
I have no idea.
I haven't been in Japan in a while actually.
It's been a couple years for me too, yeah. Wow. Tweet us, guys. Let us know. What's the conversion rate in 2060 or whatever? Here we go, San Francisco Shock.
Future conversion rate. Please account for all inflation and win a Nobel Prize in economics if you are able to do so.
That's right, yeah. Easy prediction. Baby Bay on the Widowmaker this time around, looking for the picks. Goes up high, hydration. Ooh, gotta watch out for those reflects. Yeah, it has to take a break for the moment. Sure, being a bit annoying on that tracer in the back lines, but Baby Bay undeterred.
And so returning to the Baby Bay Widowmaker, which we saw extensively in the preseason, then used a lot less in terms of San Francisco.
Ooh, no grapple, no life.
Grapple there.
Yeah. Bishu gets Nomi as well, so yeah, San Francisco Shock gonna go ahead and reset. That was intentional, don't worry. So, where's Zenyatta, man? He really sounds scared when he falls off a cliff. Like,
I don't understand how he can
I
fall,
float
fall
off
at
the
all
ground, but I
because-
suddenly don't float when I'm over.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe he's like a hoverboard, right? You can only float a little bit. Like if you
Yeah, but
drive-
can he float it when he reaches the ground on the other end?
Well, I mean, yeah, but the velocity is what hurts
okay.
at that point. Yeah. I'm an expert at Zenyatta mechanics. Here we go, Transcendence coming in. Sleepy goes down. Wow, really aggressive dive for Gladiators. I don't know about this. Shaz goes in, uses that
Dante
Transcendence.
and Baby Bay are on the point right now.
I was gonna say, yeah, the back cap is real. They nearly have one tick. Baby Bay on the run, little bit of trouble for him. Make that a lot bit of trouble as he gets tracked down by Fissure, and they didn't quite get a tick. So it was a tricky dive, a tricky flank there, but not really getting anything out of it.
Good communication from the Gladiators, though, to make it back right before the tick went through. They didn't overcommit to their spawn camp or their aggressive defense. Now they'll have another chance at it. Meanwhile, San Francisco, not a lot of ults right now. Sleepy about to get that Transcendence, though, which will be helpful when Hydration comes in with that Dragon Blade.
Hydration maybe looking for an opportunity here. Yeah, just kind of keeping them backed up for the moment. The dive came in. Gotta dodge that self-destruct. And Fissure went ahead and had to use that ultimate. Now the sound barrier coming in from Big Goose. San Francisco trying to get to the point right now. Hydration with Reflect, but cut down by Baby Bay anyway here. Self-destruct used by Bishu. Can he get back in the mech? No, he can't. Dante gets him with the Pulse Bomb, and San Francisco coming out way ahead in this fight.
That's the opening they needed, trading the sound barriers, but knowing the whole time that they were still going to have a Transcendence advantage. So you being free to trade while still maintaining the presence on the point thanks to the heal over time.
Yeah.
Easily rolling through, but they're not going to give themselves a terribly large amount of time in the bank here for their attack onto B.
Well, you go back to that aggressive defensive fight that Gladiators brought to San Francisco. Shaz using his Transcendence early, and you kind of wonder if he would have held on to that, if that would have gone a little bit differently, but that is one for the team review later.
Will be.
Yeah.
Big Goose will be on the Ana.
Oh, Baby Bay, 11 health. Oh, we can't get out. That biotic grenade, a little bit too small, I think. So a little bit too strong, rather, not too small. It was quite big. I don't know.
So right now they're just trying to use this mega health pack. So this is they're trying to play the high ground with this Sombra because you can get a lot of space over the point. There is no cover if you're trying to contest the point itself against the EMP. So they're trying to find this opportunity, and Nevix is just repeatedly moving in, picking up the health back and wait for another one. Heal up Dante with the EMP now. So he's gonna look in, try and find that EMP. There is no line of sight right now.
Oh, there it is. EMP, Sleepy down immediately though, and Hydration coming in with the Dragon Blade. EMP though, he has to back away, and now the Tac Visor entering the picture here. We'll see if Baby Bay can get anybody with it. Not quite, no, Surefour gets him, and the Transcendence comes in. Gladiators committing. And it looks like San Francisco can't push any further than that. That is it.
Hydration used his Dragon Blade, but got EMP'd immediately afterwards. So no value there, however, no control percent built by the Shock. They could never really get through that upper limit. The supports were always on the low ground for the Gladiators, so able to get an angle there and make sure that they had at least some people not EMP. They're going to use the Nano Boost immediately on the Fissure, but that's a self-destruct.
Caught before he could get out of range of the self-destruct, and that Nano Boost doesn't do a whole lot for the Gladiators. Sound barrier, San Francisco coming in. Nevixo hit with a sleep dart. They're gonna have to wait that one out, but Bishu down. San Francisco with an opportunity here to attack point B. Big Goose back for a little bit of healing. That gets the kill on Hydration, and now the Transcendence coming in. San Francisco, one tick already. Gotta spend a bit more time on the point though here. Gotta handle those respawns.
Fissure just bounced out of the point, and now they're trying to re-engage right now.
Well, they got Baby Bay.
Dante has
Fissure
EMP,
picked him off.
here we go.
Yeah, waiting for it. 19 health, has
Nope.
to back away. I think it was smart to hold that, man. You lost Nomi already. Everything was kind of falling apart. Good on Dante to hold on to that one.
Absolutely. Nobi and Baby Bay already down, so even though it looked like there was an opportunity to use it, wasn't actually going to turn into anything.
Right.
And save it for the next push instead. That said, if Shaz is able to transcend before the EMP hits, it will effectively be nullified.
True enough. Shaz. How can you crouch as Zenyatta? You just sort of like hover a little bit lower?
Yeah, you hover lower. That works.
All right, works. Coming in. Oh, we get packed though. Could be a problem. It is a big problem. Baby Bay with a kill onto him. Sleepy with the double, man. Get bloodthirsty on the Zenyatta as San Francisco jumped on the point. Baby Bay unopposed on the high ground with this tac visor. How many times have we seen this picture? The soldier on the high ground, unable to be touched. They gotta do something about it.
Hydration died!
Oh, no Dragon Blade for you. Transcendence ends and Gladiators push back again. San Francisco trying to carry this momentum through to finish off point B. And I think they may just have it. They do. So, 2 points for the Shock. 1 minute and 40 seconds in the clock. Roughly a minute more for the Gladiators at this point as we go into time bank.
Yeah, not a lot of time, but that was a bit of a comedy of errors there for the Gladiators at the end.
It's a bit messy, wasn't it?
Getting picked off, especially the pickoff that the Shock got onto the Zenyatta Shaz. Now, not able to use that Transcendence until the respawn, so they found the right kill right at the start of things, got Baby Bay into a position where there wasn't any pressure. Kill Hydration while he's pulling his Dragon Blade out. He got a tad bit in front of the Transcendence, and then just got melted by Nevix.
You know, you think Genji is a good ninja, and then when he's about to pull out his sword, he starts yelling things and gives away all semblance of subtlety.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
Stealth.
He's not very quiet unless he's crouching either, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the ultimate not stealthy character is Lucio. He's got music going all the time, pretty much. But yeah, Genji, maybe keep it down when you pull the blade out. Might be able to sneak up on people better.
Yeah, there you go. Nice stat there. Fisher leading all players so far this match in final blows and eliminations.
Amazing balancing act, too.
Yeah, he's tied with Surefour at 23, but has 4 more final blows.
Now, here we go. San Francisco Shock on the attack once more. They have a little bit less time in the time bank, so they will be attacking first in our extra rounds here.
So here we go. Poke composition for the San Francisco Shock. Again, we're going to be looking at them trying to deal enough damage for a finish off from the Winston.
That's the plan.
Or the Diva or the Tracer. So it's about calling that target.
Oh, there's a nice kill on the dash. Surefour comes in from behind, catches him as they try to flank around. Hydration down. Surefour going back for a little bit of heal, so it's a 5v5. No, make that
5v4.
less than that. 5v4 as Fissure falls as well. San Francisco with a real opportunity here.
They're waiting for Dak to come back. Make it a 6v4 as they slowly push it. Dak is bouncing over to the point. Right now, he's back.
Yeah, that's right. Surefour still looking to try to pick people up from San Francisco, but while he does that, he has to watch the control meter tick up for the Shock. He can't do much on his own unless this is going to be a big pulse bomb. No, Dak gets him. Transcendence comes in for Shaz. The counter dive. Gladiators trying to do something with this. Fissure goes down after that pulse bomb. A lot of damage incoming in. Gladiators grasping at straws to try to hold this point, but Shock will have none of it.
Hydration gets the Dragon Blade, but dies at the same time. He did a lot of damage in the initial engagement.
That's big.
But he died. He's playing a tad too aggressively right now. Here on Hanamura, San Francisco Shock wants to clean this up. 44 seconds.
Whoa, Dak gets caught by the pulse bomb. Surefour getting them as they come into the door. Baby Bay trying to respond with this tac visor here. Has to avoid the reflect. Now the sound barrier. Oh, and Gladiators more than prepared. Hydration with that Dragon Blade. Doesn't really have anyone left to slice.
Hydration's Dragon Blades have left much to be desired this match, Doa.
Yep.
That's something you really want for this final attack, to put the nail in the coffin, but instead, the Shock will have an opportunity to get a tick or two here, maybe complete this point, but the Gladiators with the Primal Rage and the Self-Destruct, it will be difficult to do this in rapid fashion.
Dak's got the sound barrier, goes in, uses it as they go in. Support ult, maybe what they need. We're into OT now. Surefour gets Nomi with the pulse bomb. One tank out of the way. Yushu on the point right now. Hydration really low. Gets some healing from the Transcendence at the last minute. Nevix just trying to delay as long as he can, but he's going to get demeched, and that is no tanks now for San Francisco. And the celebration self-destruct may just do it. Baby Bay can't get through the doorway, and it's Dante on his own on the point as overtime expires, and Gladiators will hold San Francisco to just 1 point in the time bank round.
Yeah, no ticks on point B either, so,
right.
But still a fantastic opportunity for the Shock to full hold on point A and go ahead and take this map. So
Well, with only having a minute 40 to begin with, I mean,
Yeah.
making point A is an accomplishment in itself.
absolutely it was, and it did look cleaner on that second attempt. A lot of that was, I think, some positional errors that we saw out of hydration, dying at the very start of that. And of course, this Gladiators team with the new member will still be working on getting their synergy down. I did ask them before the match if they had practiced with Fisher, and they did say yes, they had been practicing with him. So at least something is there already, but compared to the months that this team has been practicing together otherwise, does pale in comparison.
Yeah, you can see the individual strength of Fisher, but the coordination isn't quite as tight as it was with iRemix just yet. And all of those games are games I would love to have in my apartment. Full arcade cabinets.
You don't even
Love
know
it.
if those are good games, Dara.
They look great. I like old school kind of games. One looked like sort of like a top-down shooter. One of those like bullet hell games. Another one's like a platformer, right? And then the third one I already forgot, but that's just me.
I'll wait for the reviews to
tank.
come out before I buy them. Doe is that guy who pre-orders every game.
No, I am not. Bite your tongue. Never. In a million years.
All right, Churfor on the Widowmaker. Wants to get some early picks. Hydration back on the Genji. So trying to sneak through this door. First shot, gonna find Nevix. That won't do very much.
Yeah, Churfor under pressure here. Ooh, that's a lot of damage on him. Gotta be careful. He's diving in now. Trying to just do a bit more to Nevix. Maybe get a shot at Sleepy in the
Yeah,
back,
he needs
but
to swap.
I think so. This is not working out. You need to be aggressive in your hero changes if you want to adapt to this.
Yeah, back to the Tracer. So full dive composition it will be.
Yep.
Last time he tried creeping around the side, but that did lose them a lot of time. He's going to go for it again, it appears. They should be ready for this. Babyface adjusting his positioning, trying to get away from Churfor as he comes around the flank.
That's the plan. Nomi down. Uh-oh, Hydration finds that one. One tank out of the way. San Francisco starting to sweat a little bit as the Gladiators come in. Oh man, and they nearly lost Dante as well. Baby Bay in a lot of trouble, dead. Fisher comes in for yet another big pick on that Winston, and now one tick already. Gladiators get the kills, winning the fight in style. Without that mech, Nevix is not able to do too much, and Dante and Sleepy down. That's point A for Gladiators, and they're going to have a decent amount of time to assault point B. All they need is one tick on point B to win the map.
Nomi got totally baited in that fight. He thought that Churfor was going all the way around to the back line again. However, they waited for him to jump in, and that time Churfor doubled back. Everybody collapsed on him,
Right.
and then they slow pushed their way into the point. Minute and a half, so a few attack rounds to work with. Both support ults already up for the Gladiators.
Oh, Shaz down early. Great pick by Dante. And Biggie
Wow,
taken
Dante.
out. Dante coming up huge.
They
getting
have to
both
back out.
supports, but Gladiators responding with a couple of their own. But yeah, you gotta reset here.
Honestly, Dante's been playing very well today. The number of support kills he has managed to get by himself have really kept the shock in this. And when you know that they have both support ults available, and you go in, you one-clip the Zen, you go ahead and you get a pulse bomb kill as well onto the other support, that is a hero play that stalls you out, and it gets you your sound barrier or your transcendence.
I mean, Dante, more than anyone else on this team, I think, was leveling up towards the end of stage one as they tried to fend off Gladiators coming in. A lot else for them to work with as well. Hydration gets the heals as he backs up off the stairs. Oh, Nevix following though. Hydration down. Great pick by Nevix, and Dak manages to demech Bishu. So Gladiators, now you reset again. You have maybe one more chance here to make a good run at it. You've got a good amount of ultimates, but guess what? The other team has 5 too, so this one's gonna be a bit apocalyptic.
It will be, but the Transcendence used is a big advantage to the Gladiators. This will be their best opportunity besides that first push
Yep, that's the plan.
to go ahead and gain some room. They only need that one tick.
We'll see what they decide to go with. You lead in with the sound barrier, to lead in with the Transcendence. You wait, find out.
You should lead in with a sound barrier.
I think that would be the wisest way to go. They're just going to go right in. They're saving it as long as they possibly can. Transcendence will be the first one used. Hydration waiting for it. Self-destruct. No victims for San Francisco. Here comes the Dragon Blade for Hydration now. He's going to have to come through a sound barrier, and that's never easy. Ooh, can't quite find any kills here. Meanwhile, we're into OT. Baby Bay down. So Gladiators with that first pick. Nevix going to get demexed as well. Dak Low gets taken out here. And Gladiators winning the fight. They may have a big chance here, a big opportunity to win this map, and I think they've got it. They do. LA Gladiators take the tick and win the map. Hanamura goes their way.
When you're down that support Ultoa, it becomes so hard to prevent the enemy team, the attacking team, from getting that one pick. Their staying power on the point is so much higher with the barrier and the heal over time that the sound barrier and the Transcendence provide you. And so they're able to get their position and muscle everybody out on the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, sure, you use your Transcendence to kind of engage like they did, and then that lets you wait and ideally get the later sound barrier out of the two. And they certainly put that one together. Dak having a decent series on the Lucio, but can't come up with the win quite yet. We'll be back with map number 2 right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Hydration, DPS, Los Angeles Gladiators.
Hydration showing just how capable he is.
My favorite hero is Doomfist because you can do a lot with him. There's a lot of combos and like different things you can do to make plays and just dish out the most damage.
Another pick there for Hydration.
I grew up in Brazil with an older brother and a younger half-brother, and we spent most of our days playing computer games together. It became part of my life, just playing games all the time. Now it's transitioned into Overwatch, and now I'm here, and I'm here to frag.
Let's go, Hydration.
Oh, it's a massacre! Hydration has found the most important targets, and they're going to get taken down, and the Gladiators get it done!
This season, I really want to keep improving as a player and start going towards becoming one of the top players. And at the end of the day, I just want to win.
Hydration goes for the big man play, and he sinks it.
Well, there you go, Hydration. Hopefully we'll get to see some Doomfist at some point in the future. I really enjoy watching that hero. So, hey, more power to you, man.
I mean, he did play it a lot on Dorado in the last stage. So
True.
he's been an interesting player to watch because if we sort of track his career as an Overwatch player, he started out more or less as a Pharah one-trick back on CLG, and then transitioned, like Dreamcasper, over time into a wide array of heroes. And he's been, I think, one of the most improved players that we've seen from the early days of Overwatch up until his debut in OWL.
Yeah, I'd agree. We've got a sub on the side for the LA Gladiators. Asher coming in for Surefour as we look forward to Nepal, our second map. Going to be the control map coming in, and it's going to be interesting to see what Asher can bring to this one. I'm actually a little bit surprised because Surefour does have that ability to play that McCree, play that hit scan, a hero that we do see pretty often on Nepal. So what do you think they're going to have Asher run?
I think it's better just to have Asher. If you're very convinced you're going to run Tracer for the majority of the time, Asher is going to be the better choice for that Tracer role. I'm sure, I mean, we've seen Widowmaker from Asher in the past on this team as well, so he can run the long-range hit scan, but if you're looking for a duelist, somebody who's going to probably work well with Fisher to finish off some of these kills, I think putting Asher in is an interesting idea.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you talk about the communication issues that they may have, like coming into it, that may solve a little bit of that tandem dive.
Well, I mean, we look at the stats from that last round, too, and it was a pretty close map, right? It went down to the very end of Time Bank, one tick difference. Fisher had 38 eliminations, second only to Surefour with 42, but he had the most final blows at 17 in the entire game on either team. And if you compare that to Nomi, Nomi had 20 eliminations, 6 final blows. So Fisher nearly doubled his eliminations, did more than double, actually nearly tripled his final blows. And that's Fisher in a nutshell. He has insane awareness, and he is great at following up on the DPS damage to make sure somebody dies.
Yeah, and later on, he can also play the Reinhardt too, so if they need that pick, this guy's great on that hero as well. So again, a huge pickup for the Gladiators. And he said coming into it, he's like, I want to move because I want to be a starter. I want to play more games.
Well, I wanted him to be a starter too.
I think we all did, man. I mean, we know from casting him in Apex, this guy is one of the best tanks out there. And so he deserves a spot like this. He deserves to be in the spotlight more.
Absolutely. I thought maybe he might go to a team like Seoul, which I think could use some more stable, consistent tank play right now, but in fact, he goes to the Gladiators, and I think that's a good upgrade at a need position for them, and I think we're only going to see it get better over time, so certainly exciting to see a lot of these trades occur and these new signings as players are slowly filtering in. We did get to see Rascal, of course, in that last one, and it was great to see him return to that Sombra, which he is so well known for.
Yeah. One of the most fun Sombras to watch in Overwatch, I think. Just the way
he's my favorite Sombra, definitely.
He's much more aggressive. Like you talk about how Sombra is used. You know, she's a quote-unquote DPS hero, right, in the character select screen. But he's one of the only players out there that I watch where I really feel like, yeah, this guy's playing Sombra like a DPS hero. But he's on a different team. We're talking about Gladiators in San Francisco now. We're going on to Nepal here. Gladiators coming into it with a one-map lead. San Francisco looking to tie things up, of course, as we get things started here on Village.
Round 1.
Hydration coming out on the Pharah. So back, speaking of his one-trick Pharah days, back on the hero that first made him noteworthy, which we do see here on Village from time to time.
Sure enough. A little bit of a tussle on the high ground here. Hydration goes down. Baby Bay picks him out of the air with that Soldier 76. That is big. Fisher can't get out of the way as well. Baby Bay just wrecking people right now. And San Francisco in a great spot to claim this point first.
Generally, if you're going to be playing the Pharah, you don't try and play the high ground, and especially you don't try and run into the enemy team like that. You know, no real protection for the Pharah. Hydration going to swap off. Bishu also going to remech via the Orisa. So resets his ult charge, not a big deal after just that one fight, but might slow down the Gladiators a hair.
It does hurt you a little bit. I mean, if you look at Nevix, he's already over 30% towards that self-destruct. It's a bit of a pain. Gladiators coming in. There's a dive on the Dak, man. Fisher just wrecks him again. Transcendence coming in a little bit late for sleep. He couldn't save his Lucio. And Gladiators really want to flip this point here. We'll see if they can do it without Hydration, though. They did lose him, and Shaz on his own. Easy pickings for Nevix and the rest of Shock there. And yep, that's going to be a boop. And that's a lot of members of the Gladiators down. I think San Francisco's going to hold this one a little bit longer.
I think they will, Doa. And the Gladiators' problems, we've seen two big ones so far. Shaz has been left by himself quite a bit and opened himself up to Nevix or Dante killing him at the start of fights. And the other one is Hydration is first to fall frequently. He's not getting the protection that he needs. So both the front line and the back line are having troubles, which is weird because usually the tank line will protect one of those and not neither.
Well, you're moving into this really aggressive dive, and that leaves Zenyatta out to hang sometimes. Here we go, coming in with the Transcendence this time around. Wants to stay alive. Dak down, they get Sleepy as well. Ooh, there goes Baby Bay Hydration. Coming back with a vengeance here. Easy finishing blows on the Nomi, and Dante on the run as he sees his point flip over to the enemy side behind him.
They're holding on to the sound barrier as well, so Dak will be able to match that on the next attack. Plenty of time for the San Francisco Shock to continue pushing this point and recover a bit. Hydration there, trolling the high ground, looking for that chance to use the Dragon Blade. Gonna go through right now.
He's got the sound barrier. He gets Baby Bay Sleepy in a lot of trouble here. Cut down as well. And if he can demech Nomi, or Nevix rather, can't quite do it. That's good enough though. I mean, that's gonna keep their percentage going, and they've got San Francisco pushed way back.
So right there, when they noticed that Dak used the sound barrier there too, which is a big problem. Big Goose engaged with his. But when we think about where Dante was, he was trying to put pressure on the point, and that means when Baby Bay was close to that front line and he goes down, it's an easy call to use that Dragon Blade.
Whoa, Baby Bay with that tack visor gets two already. Shaz went down due to Nomi, so San Francisco winning the fight before they even get to the point here. That should be an easy flip as soon as they get rid of Bishu. That diva.
Baby Bay's been making these opportunities for his team on Nepal this entire map. He's been leading off with a lot of the kills, making sure that they have a man advantage heading into these fights. He does it again, and now they're going to head towards 99.
Yeah, they're getting close. Nearly 90% for San Francisco Shock already.
Jazz waiting for that trance. They're waiting for it right now.
And dive coming in. Fisher a little bit ahead of his team. Backs off. Wisely needs to be careful. Shaz goes down. Nomi with a pick with the reverse dive. Once again, the Zenyatta left on the zone. They need to make the best of it, but they can't. Hydration out of the way already. There goes Bishu's mech, and Baby Bay unopposed here. They nearly flip the point, but they can't quite get it over to their side. And San Francisco looks like they might take the round right here.
Shaz is being left out to dry. Died with his trance, and it's easy for Nomi and Dante to get into the back line and pick him up. They've identified that there are some positional weaknesses. There's two strung out right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a consequence of the meta changing to this much more aggressive dive. You've got the Lucio again. Everybody's moving quick, but that Zenyatta is going to be kind of in the back, fending for himself. And as good as Shaz is on that hero, if you're on your own in like the 1v3, man, good luck. And we can see San Francisco taking advantage of that easy.
And there's no do-over button called Resurrect now to get your Zenyatta back.
Nope, you can't count on that. You have to have epic positioning, you have to have perfect execution, and Gladiators falling short a little bit here on Nepal. We'll see if they can turn it around on Sanctum as we get things started. Bit of a pick comp coming out for San Francisco this time around.
Want to use the range of the Roadhog across the point with the Soldier 76 to make a play. Dive once again for the Gladiators, so will be the Shock positioning on the side, on the high ground opposite the point.
Wow, 88% kill participation for Baby Bay so far. That's what happens when you've got a machine gun, I guess, and your positioning is pretty good. Gladiators on the point already, taking a bit of a defensive position here. Nomi falls early. Shaz dies once again, this time to the pick. Nice hook out of the air. Bishu brought low, but Nevix, can he finish him off? Oh, that was a close one. Nearly fell into the pit. And Gladiators will get the control percent going early, but San Francisco in position to take it right back again. There we go.
Falling off that point at the end. Great patience from San Francisco. Nomi managed to get onto the point. Yes, he died early, but it set up Nevix to patiently fish 4 hooks across the top of the point. He's a good angler.
You always got to be patient when you're fishing, man. You can't be impatient because those fish, you can't make the bite. You can't make the fish bite.
Unless you have hand grenades.
That is not fair to the fish. Give them a chance.
Is fishing fair to the fish, Noah?
Well, I mean, they can shoot choose to not fight the hook. There's that. Oh, Nomi gets the kill on the Fissure here as Hydration. Getting a couple with the Dragon Blade. That's a big one. Only Nevix left on that Roadhog trying to stay alive, but he's not going to be able to do quite that. And yeah, it looks like Gladiators going to be able to flip the point once again.
Chante actually gets hydration. Dante's the only one left though, so now it will flip.
Yeah.
Baby pops out for a few straight bullets over the point as he wants to build up that ult charge, but quickly realizes it is a lost battle and will go back and rejoin his team. So Fissure, in spite of getting yanked over the edge by the Orisa Halt to start that fight, the members of San Francisco were all split apart.
Oh, Big Goose gets a kill on the Sleepy. Gladiators missing that Zenyatta early on. San Francisco is still kind of bottled up by Spawn, looking for a way to break out. That's a pulse bomb on a Baby Bay. Asher saying, no, you are under house arrest, man. You're not getting out of there.
And they're waiting now. Going to bring back Dak with the nano boost and the tactical visor from Baby Bay's Soldier 76.
Yep.
Maybe they'll use it on Nevix as well, depending on how they're feeling. Bishu hooked right back in and desuited.
Yeah, there's a whole hog from Nevix now. Zenyatta keeping him alive, keeping him healthy. Meanwhile, Transcendence on the other side as well. Shaz trying to keep his team in the fray. Baby Bay pops that tag by Zeus, got the nano boost now. Oh, open season as Asher taken out. Baby Bay backing out of it. And Shock trying to flip this one. They've nearly got it. Nice skill onto hydration. Oh, the tracking is real for Baby Bay. And Bishu in that pilot diva form, you're not going to hold a lot. Oh, Shaz. The agony of the Shaz. No outfire loaded up means you're probably not going to kill that Tracer.
No escape at all. And
No.
Bishu's basically getting hooked on cooldown by Nevix right now. They haven't figured out the sight lines that they need to play with this Soldier 76 and this Roadhog. It's been a major problem for the Gladiators and something that the Shock have been eager to capitalize on and successful in their endeavors.
I like what San Francisco is doing, playing a bit more cautiously, using the dive against him. Oh, hydration! Oh, Sleepy, he was ready that time. And a sleep dart onto Fissure. Gladiators trying to be shut down, but Bishu comes back with a couple kills on the supports. Fissure low, waiting for that health pack. Can he survive this? Has to pop the primal rage. Whoa, Nevix, goodbye. You know, when pigs fly, I guess that's an opportunity for that one. And Nevix,
when pigs fly, they die, Noah, apparently, right over the edge. And Fissure is turning this around, gets stuck at the end. But he buys time for the rest of his team to get in and onto the point.
San Francisco still has this one. They're buying time. Dak trying to make sure that they get as close to 99 as they can, and they do get there. Baby Bay gets hit with the pulse bomb, and it looks like Gladiators might be able to flip this one back, but it's 99%. So San Francisco, maybe one more attack here if they want to try to flip it and win the map.
That looked like a disaster at the start from the Gladiators. Hydration once again dying during his ult animation.
Right.
And not being able to deal the necessary damage. And instead it's Fissure turning it around by making sure that they keep people on the point and that one player, Nevix, is eliminated off the side of the map.
All right, let's see if Baby Bay has the angle with this tag visor here. Oh, Nevix, goodbye.
Booped off.
I think he got booped off by Big Goose. Gladiators, they want to take this one. They want to equalize Nepal, and they've got a great chance to do that. Dak coming in, he's on his own. I think maybe, yeah, Dak is still lurking in that back room, but no, can't run from that Dragon Blade, not back there. And that will be Gladiators taking Sanctum and tying things up here on Nepal.
So close between these two teams. Some big mistakes being made, but the team's also capitalizing on them relatively well.
Well, it's been a wild series so far, and it hasn't been the cleanest one, but it looked like for a second there that San Francisco had gotten the dive of the Gladiators figured out, but Gladiators coming back in the end and winning the point anyway.
I think Gladiators really need to figure out what their strategy is, because on one side their DPS is playing super aggressively with hydration, and the other side, Shaz seems to just be left on his own. What a great move.
That's really big from Big Goose at the end there. That's a point-saving move right there.
Yeah, a couple of clutch plays at the end. The only reason why the Gladiators were able to stay neck and neck here in Nepal.
Yep, we're already into it here on Shrine. The winner of this point will win Nepal. San Francisco trying to tie the series up. Gladiators trying to take the 2-0 lead. See who takes it. Both teams tentatively approaching the point. Gladiators getting aggressive, but they lose Fissure in the process. That's a rough start for them. Oh, and Nomi just bounces off of Hydration to put San Francisco in the man advantage.
And what the Gladiators are doing is simply not going to work against the Shock's composition. They are just running directly at the death ball of San Francisco Shock, who is able to melt away, melt back towards their spawn, and use the range advantage from Baby Bay on the Soldier 76. So they're catching the dive as it comes in. There was nothing tricky about that. There was nothing sneaky. It was overbold, and the Gladiators are punished.
Yep. See if they continue to have this one figured out. Dante nearly has that pulse bomb. It's going to be the ultimate used for Dak and Shaz. Support ultimates on both sides. There's the Transcendence now from Shaz as they try to flip this one here, and it looks like maybe they've got it. Baby Bay did get eliminated with the right click from Lucio, and Dante, there's only so much you can do, man, when your entire team is dead, and that's going to be the Gladiators getting their points going.
Yeah, will be Dak not finding a great timing on that sound barrier.
Yep.
We take a look at this one again, coming through from Bishu's perspective. Watch Dak right here, because he gets killed in mid-air in the animation of the sound barrier. So in spite of us being on our third point, and Dak has played some Ana, but he still has only provided 2 sound barriers so far.
Yeah, I mean, and now the game is, you know, if you press Q...
Compared to 12 for Big Goose.
Oh, that's huge. Add down to that 4 from another sound barrier just used. And Hydration backing off. Oh, he can't get back to the point in time. They take him down, and now Baby Bay coming in. Self-destruct used on both sides as Gladiators trying to delay just a little bit longer. They've gotten a couple kills on the supports. Maybe this is what they need. Baby Bay, oh, Big Goose, he gets him. Turning it around right now. Looks like Bishu is about to get demeched. He was. Dak with the killing blow there on that mech.
I mean, Baby Bay's just standing here. They've got to get rid of him.
Oh, he's
At some
trying to
point or
run.
another, starts to run, and he's not going to make it. Hydration has 2.
Chasing you down with the Dragon Blade, and the Gladiators will hold the point. Just a near 70% right now. They're getting there. San Francisco needs a big play here.
They've got to get a big play, though, but they're not close to any important ultimates. They're still 35% down on the sound barrier. No tactical visor ready for them. So they're going to have to either hope for the miracle pick as they push in or
the dive.
wait.
Fissure, very aggressive dive coming in, but they managed to keep him alive. Waiting for it now, gets back out. They've got the ultimate out of Shaz, and that's going to be something that San Francisco can maybe capitalize on here with another push, but they got to go now.
Asher!
Off the stick! On to Nevix, he can't get back in the mech again.
Huge kill.
Yep, that's right. Fissure goes down, though. Dante coming up big on the other side. So low, though, gets taken out by Bishu, and Gladiators just need to hold on for a bit longer. Transcendence from Shock, though. And now Nevix on that Doomfist. He's going to be entering the fray soon. Bishu demech. San Francisco muscling their way onto the point here, but they lose Sleepy in the process. Loading it up. Oh, we missed! And Hydration cuts him down with the Dragon Blade. That rocket punch was the only thing standing between Gladiators and victory. And they will take it. Nepal goes to the LA Gladiators.
The late sound barrier from Big Goose kept his teammates alive on the point long enough to get everybody back.
Yep.
And provide the protection for that Dragon Blade, and Gladiators clutch it out at the last second.
Well, that was such a back and forth map for a few times. It really looked like Shock had the dive figured out, but in the end, the Gladiators, too many big individual plays, too much star power, and that's what came to matter in the end. That's a 2-0 lead for the Gladiators. Halftime when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
It's halftime. We are live from Los Angeles. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. You guys still having fun out there? I am too, and the Gladiators are up 2-0 after our first 2 games. So let's break down the action so far, starting here with our squads. And as we talk about these teams, we had a favorite coming in. It was a bit mixed on the Death Sideshow. You went with the Shock as your official prediction. Let's start with this squad. What did we see from this team early on?
So when we saw them apply themselves on Hanamura, we started off with Dag taking on more of the Ana role as well. He was actually performing decently with that. And it seems like in general they want to stay a little further back and experiment. This was juicy coming out from Dag. His first official match on Ana, and he hits a sleep dart like this. Look at that one. Straight onto a nano boosted soldier that's about to wreck your life. And then had some good Lucio performance over the whole course of Hanamura. And that dropped off slightly towards Nepal, but overall I felt like this was a good map for him.
But I think what we forgot to mention is that, sure, Dak gets Lucio back, but so does Big Goose. This guy is a sick Lucio as well, and he was doing just that. And he actually ended up putting better stats than Dak on his own Lucio. So just to contrast it, every sound barrier that Big Goose would drop would hit about 4.78 players, whereas Dak 3.4 only.
Let's talk about this guy, because we saw a lot of Lucio play, but the standout for me was the Soldier 76. I feel like in this new meta, Soldier may be back here as a mainstay, at least for the Shock.
Yes, but I think the San Francisco Shock have to work around him a little bit more. I mean, that seems perhaps kind of silly because their whole team's designed around it. But what I mean by this is that when the dive comes in from the LA Gladiators, Baby Bay needs to be put in a slightly more passive position. There has to be a read that the dive is coming in, and Baby Bay has to back off, rather than always being at the front, and then he's just an easy dive target.
Well, I think the style that we saw out of Fleta from the Seoul Dynasty was that the Soldier tries to be on the opposite side of the team, especially on Sanctum. He's always just trying to avoid where the enemy is, as opposed to using the cover from the Orisa. You can use your sprint in your own biotic field to be an individual threat as opposed to just being with the brunt of the team. And I think that's what was causing a lot of trouble for San Francisco, because all it took is Hydration coming in there with the blade, and he's already out of position. He's just dying instead of offering that artillery from the back in every single side.
So we'll see what's going to happen here with the 76. Do you want to see it moving forward for the Shock games 3-4?
Yes, absolutely, because that's the whole style, and that's the best hero that Baby Bay has in his arsenal. So I think as long as you're able to make your that style work, that should be the best style for the San Francisco Shock.
Baby Bay, definitely the star player to shut down on the Shock. If you watched Stage 1, you knew that was the name we heard over and over again. For the Gladiators, though, it was kind of a trio. 3 DPS players that we knew would be swapped in and out. They started here with Surefour, but it felt like the man that was taking all of the attention was Fissure, the new tank on the Gladiators.
Absolutely, and we hyped him up coming into it. We knew that he's an absolutely fantastic tank, even though we haven't seen that much.
That's a game-winning play right here, by the way, when he catches Baby Bay, then boops this guy with the blaster over the wall, and then immediately straight onto the point with everybody else. Like, he just won you the point. Like,
that's great individual tank play, and it's something that we didn't see as much from iRemix, the guy that he's replacing. We saw very much a coordinated dive attempts, and occasionally Fissure's been a little bit off with those. Perhaps there's some communication issues, but his individual play when the fights get scrappy or when the big play needs to happen seems to be absolutely top-notch, as we expected from this guy.
And you were mentioning that it seemed that Hydration and Fissure were a little bit out of whack on Nepal, and that's how Shock was able to get an early edge. What was going on?
Yeah, and in general, they did have a great performance. And a lot of the times where you see these big plays coming out, it's because they were able to execute so well. But on a couple of pushes where they weren't able to get it, you had Hydration or maybe Bishu going the opposite way to Fissure. They're not able to set up a really fast dive, which was working great against San Francisco. And so instead, we saw Nomi and Dante able to get into their back lines.
I actually think a big part of the fact that the back line is dying so much is now that you're playing without the Mercy, Mercy could before assist on the dive and the defense in a matter of seconds, whereas now, exactly, now, and she's safe the entire time, but now you got Lucio. If he's in one way, he's not coming back to help you out, so you have to commit everybody to one direction. Often you just get your Zenyatta left behind, and you're just dying and trying to get as much damage as possible to charge your ultimate, and that's pretty much all you can offer in those situations.
Sideshow, my Shock super fan, is very very sad. He's right over here, and he is just frustrated with the performance. If Shock brings this back in the second half, there he is. We still love you. If Shock's going to come back in the second half, how do you take advantage of the weaknesses of the Gladiators right now?
Well, I think it's definitely exploitable patterns in the LA Gladiators so far. I've got one to just kind of break down and show you what was happening on Nepal that we can go into. And basically what I've got it paused here, and I just want to highlight what's going on in terms of where the positioning is going to be from these guys. So what you're going to see here is you can see their outlines through the wall, that Fisher is going to jump up over this way to the high ground, whereas Bishu and the Genji Hydration are both going to go this way, so the opposite way. And the issue with this is that it sets their backline up very open, and they have no idea that Nomi is hiding behind the wall here. So this is one of these uncoordinated dives that leaves Big Goose and Shaz open. So as soon as he sees Bishu use those the jump boost, he's straight into the backlines, and Hydration actually comes back. Instead of committing to the dive with Fisher or even with Bishu, they're coming back to try and peel for their backline, and I feel like at that point it's a lost fight. So instead, what I'd love to see from LA Gladiators is them commit really hard on the dives, but for San Francisco Shock, if they see this kind of uncoordination with tanks going different directions, just carry on with this. Nomi and Dante being able to get into the backlines, and in some sense using Baby Bay as bait would be a great move for them going.
Baity Bay.
Baity Bay.
I love the combo here.
But you know, that's only going to improve for the Gladiators. This is clearly the growing pains of having Fisher in there. And if you got a new guy on your team, you're going to be more inclined to listen to what he has to say. So if he's making a call, everybody's going in to try to follow it through. So I think that these mistakes and windows of opportunity that the Gladiators are presenting are only going to be shored up as this game progresses. And as the stage progresses, I think that we might not even see them at all.
There's a superstar on the stage. He goes by the name Fisher, and I know a lot of eyes are on him. But coming up for game number 3, if you're a San Francisco Shock fan, you have to be pumped up because the next map is Kings Row. Nomi, not known for his Winston, but he was known for his Reinhardt. It's his best hero, and he's going to get a chance to play him after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey, the LA Gladiators are up 2-0 on the San Francisco Shock. But guys, I wanted to take a second to give some shine to a true super fan of Overwatch, the Overwatch League, my man Daniel here. Daniel has been here literally every day since I've started working here. And have you been here every day Overwatch League has been in session?
Yes, since day one, even the preseason, I've been here every single day supporting my favorite teams here.
Hey, you gotta give it up to him. That's awesome. Now, please tell me, what brings you back here every day besides the intense competition?
Really, it's just my love for the game. As many of you know that play the game, it's a really great game. I like to have fun with my friends playing it, enjoy the experience, and I've really been following the esports aspect of it ever since like the Atlantic divisions. I was telling you, Malik, you know, I want to be in esports, but I have accepted the fact I'm not going to be a pro player, so I'm out here trying to make it big some other way.
I feel it. I love it. I love it. Now, I gotta be honest with you. Since I started, I've seen you wearing multiple jerseys. It's kind of Drake-like, to be honest with you. Look at this. We got you in a field jersey. Look at it. You look. I mean, I don't know, man. A little bit of a turncoat kind of action there. All right, so tell me, let's make it official, man. What is your favorite Overwatch League team? Do you have a favorite?
They're up on the stage right now. San Francisco Shock.
San Francisco Shock. We finally have it. All right, guys. Well, give it up for my man Daniel, everybody. And we still got a whole nother half to play, so let's go ahead and kick it back to the casters, Monty and Dora.
All right, thanks, Malik. That's right. Well, hey, you know, you can be a fan of different teams. That's acceptable.
I'm a fan of all the good teams, Noah.
And which ones are those, Monty? Chris, would you like to name those all for us?
No. We'll just
wait
leave
on
that one out there.
All right, the mystery continues, I guess. Well, it's no mystery that the addition of Fissure has been good for Gladiators, but they've got a sub. Surefour coming back in. A Chihuahua Yorkie mix. Surefour is 8 years old, lovable, but a bit. Oh, I'm sorry, I was still doing Puppy Bowl. I had to. Puppy Rumble. My bad, Puppy Rumble. I had to break myself out of that mindset.
Yeah, that
it's
was
tough. Yeah, well,
it
Surefour
is
back
hard.
in for Asher. Yeah.
He does have the lovely silver coat of a Yorkshire Terrier.
That's right. Does not shed much from what I've heard. Yeah. Hypoallergenic.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah. What many benefits of having Surefour on your team. Kings Row will be our next map. We're going into hybrid now for map number 3. San Francisco Shock looking to make a bit of a comeback as they are 2 games down to the Gladiators right now.
I'm glad we took a look at that replay that Sideshow pulled up of Shaz getting left behind, because while Shaz didn't die all the time, even though he was using his transcendence, a lot of times it was just not to die, and he would use the speed boost to catch up to his tank. So he spent like most of his transcendences, half of them like half the time running towards his tank. So he was still abandoned more or less at the end of those columns of advancing players, and they didn't really figure out an answer to that. And I think Nomi and Dante both have done a good job of making sure that they punish Shaz for, I don't even think it's his position, I think it's his team's positioning and the over-eager diving of the Gladiators tank line.
I know how Shaz feels, man. I mean, in our little caster group of Overwatch, people like to play dive. They like to leave me alone on the Zenyatta, and I just have to fight my way out of it.
I do play Winston, so I do intentionally leave you behind.
Yeah, I know, and then if you got Puck it on D.Va, just going way up there. I have to like Rambo my way out of the back lines, 1v3. I can do it, but it's difficult.
And I don't shed a tear when the Omnix died, Noah.
I know you don't. You'd fit right in here on Kings Row.
Topical.
That's right. Yeah, Kings Row, home to Omnicators and Monte Cristo, the also Omnicator. Yeah. San Francisco Shock setting up on the defense. You don't have to say sorry, Sleepy. Your team should be saying sorry to you, man. They're the ones leaving you behind. You and Shaz. It's tough being a Zenyatta right now. Or maybe he's saying sorry that he wasn't there when Mandata got capped by Widowmaker. Maybe that's it. Who knows?
Maybe that is it. There will be dive compositions for both teams. Dak back on the Ana, which he did see some success with in the first attempt on this series, his first attempt playing this in Overwatch League at all, in fact.
That's right. Let's see how the dive looks from the Gladiators this time going in. Just kind of sneaking around the outside for the moment. Bishu waiting it out. They're kind of going on the flank there. Fissure goes in right now. Drops a Winston shield. Dante down. Now Surefour under a lot of pressure in the back lines here. Bishu looking for targets. They've got 1 tick already. They've successfully zoned out San Francisco, and it's going to be tough to come back. Nevix pushed away, and that was just great positional play from Gladiators. They controlled space immediately, and San Francisco couldn't really stop them from getting on the points. The payload is already going to get going.
Well, one of the problems was the high ground presence of Dak and Sleepy. They were actually out of line of sight for a lot of that, rotating through the upper hallway while the fight was taken to the tank line of the Shock. So they didn't have the same level of support that we saw from the Gladiators, who figured out where they were. Surefour wrapped around the backside of the choke point on the flank and did them in. So Surefour well back here right now. He's in the original spawn for the defenders, and he is looking for an opportunity onto these swords. He's gonna get one.
Yeah, Sleepy taken out. Surefour pairing with Fissure for that good one. Transcendence used rather, as they try to fight off the San Francisco counter dive on the payload. babybay goes in deep, but can't get much done, and Surefour really making his presence felt here after being subbed back in for Asher.
Finally, some good coordination. We saw them try that same trick on Hanamura, with Fissure coordinating with Surefour to get a clean dive, and that time it works quite well. Surefour doesn't even have to use his pulse bomb, as Sleepy is pumped full of lead and lightning.
All right, babybay with the Dragon Blade, but Surefour comes from behind. Sleepy goes down. Bijou got taken off by babybay though, and babybay gets Shaz too actually. Oh, there's the stick. He gets Nomi. Can the Gladiators turn this one around maybe? It's not gonna be easy. babybay with the reflect up. Surefour has to recall, crawling it out on the point right now. Has to avoid that self-destruct, but he gets babybay as he drops. Now Nevix taking a lot of damage onto that D.Va mech. Has to back off for the moment. Gladiators starting to get back into the fight after their respawns come in. So they do manage to grind that one out in the end. San Francisco, they don't need to give this one up just yet.
And they punish Dante, who was waiting for Shaz. Hydration doubles back to protect him.
Yep,
Fissure jumps out of the Transcendence.
Now Transcendence for Shock as they back away here for the moment. They're gonna pop the sound barrier too. They really don't want Gladiators to take point B, but Fissure, undeterred, has to back off for a second as his team had to deal with some flanking in the back lines here. Shaz with the click onto Sleepy. And another Dragon Blade coming in. babybay needs a huge one though if they're gonna defend this. Ooh, I don't know. No, Surefour finishes him off. And man, San Francisco puts so much into this defense, and I don't think they can hold it.
The recall there for Surefour to deny any possibility of a reset from babybay's Dragon Blade. Now he's back on the Soldier 76. It's been a plotting, but certainly concentrated crawl here through the street space for the Gladiators.
Well, they really haven't been slowed down yet. And
no.
Here's where it gets a bit tricky. 4.5 minutes on the clock yet. Gladiators keep trying to push it.
Keeps on moving right now. Surefour again with the kill onto babybay.
He has gotten so many picks already. Transcendence used by Shaz as they dive deep to try to push San Francisco back into spawn. Surefour taking some damage here. He needs a bit of healing. Nope, he's okay, got it.
They're just flinging the projectiles towards the spawn doors right now.
Yep, payload's getting close, getting really close. It's time for the Dragon Blade. Hydration has everybody back in spawn. Shaz gets Dante. The back line is safe, it looks like. Self-destruct used, though, by Nevix as he tries to get them off the payload. And there we go. Gladiators will take it with a ton of time left on the clock.
Very methodical push. It did slow down a bit in the streets phase, but never for very long. So step by step, the Gladiators push it through.
Wow, that is 3 minutes and 49 seconds. A really blazing time here on Kings Row by the Gladiators.
And Surefour had 15 eliminations, 10 final blows,
wow,
and 0 deaths.
Yeah, that was
that
an
attack
epic round from Surefour.
Fissure, 14 eliminations, 4 final blows, and 0 deaths. Hydration, 0 deaths. Big Goose, 0 deaths. So that was pretty darn convincing. 3 deaths in total on the side of the Gladiators. Bijou with 1, Shaz with 2, compared to 24 for the San Francisco Shock. So Surefour comes back in, and you could see how well he was working with Fissure on some of those attacks. They were on the same page, diving at the same time, and putting on that forward pressure.
And you just felt all the desperation from San Francisco at the end of point B. I mean, they used every single ultimate they had to try to push the Gladiators off and get some sort of defense. And I mean, if you can defend it at the end of point B, you've got a nice advantage because the run back is so long for the attackers on that point. But you know, credit to Gladiators with some very measured play. Lots of good little retreats to regroup with maybe a member or two that had fallen, then the re-engaging, not letting the payload slide back. That was just a very, very clean round from the Gladiators.
It was, and I like the fact that we're basically only seeing the dive from them today, because I think when you're integrating a new player, it's better just to work on honing one strategy so you can figure out the kinks in your shot calling before you get too crazy. And
Sure,
it's looked a little bit better with Surefour compared to with Asher.
Well, the Slambulance is coming out of the garage here. San Francisco going for the quad tank with the Moira and the Lucio. Gonna try to run right over the Gladiators and see what they can do.
Fisher on the side right now is jumping back to the point. They know what's going on. The rotation over to the backside. This is where you want to be with the quad tank, hiding behind the Reinhardt shield and putting the pressure onto the point itself.
Yeah, you come through the hotel. Gladiators a little bit scattered here, trying to poke in, trying to take that Reinhardt shield down. That's going to be the key to it. Fisher diving in. He's got some help from Surefour, though. Ooh, misses his jump onto the high ground. That is dangerous. There's the hook brought back in. Babybay capitalizing on that missed jump. And without Fissure, it's going to be very hard for the Gladiators to break this one.
Well, he saved Sleepy too. Sleepy was zoned off inside the building on the Moira, so by hooking Fissure out, he managed to get the Moira back on with the rest of the tanks, and that was crucial.
All right, Nevix going to get demeched actually by that Pulse Bomb, but it's still going the way of the San Francisco Shock. Maybe the Dragon Blade can change that. Nevix goes down. There's the Transcendence to support the Genji. Is it going to be enough? The Gladiators starting to push San Francisco back a little bit here.
I mean, Bishu is still not there. Neither is Surefour, so they're buying time.
Oh, and that
Shatter
gets
gets
blocked by the
blocked.
shield. That was big. Good shield from Fissure to block that Earth Shatter. And now he's going to pop the Primal Rage. Once again, pushing San Francisco back. Graviton gets used, but there's a sound barrier there. There's no follow-up. And so far, so good for the Gladiators. Nevix with that self-destruct, but he's going all the way back to spawn now. And that was a pretty impressive pull from Gladiators.
I mean, the San Francisco Shock fell apart when it came to communication there in the clutch. They use the Shatter, they get nothing. They use the Graviton, they get nothing. And when you have this Slambulance, you have to get value out of your CC.
Absolutely. Gonna send in the self-destruct here. We've got the Transcendence out for the Gladiators as well. Hydration once again. Another Dragon Blade, another kill onto Sleepy. San Francisco needs to regroup one more time. They're coming back in with the sound barrier. They're going in. 5v6 it looks like. Surefour down, maybe an opportunity. Babybay looked so good at the beginning of that last push, but they just couldn't grind it the rest of the way out. They've got 2 ticks. All they need is a bit more time on the point.
Fisher's coming back in with the Reinhardt. There's a good Shatter for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed now. If they can complete the cleanup, and they do, they've got the payload rolling. So a bit of a tricky situation there for a little while, but San Francisco still takes Point A pretty quick.
They do, but Surefour's still back at the payload. He may stall this out right now because everyone else, except for Dak, is with the rest of the Shock in the streets. So
yeah, you could try.
Surefour's still back there. He's standing on the payload right now, and everybody has to go back for it.
Yeah, that's just annoying, man. I mean, you try to push up, you try to get that position, and what Surefour did allows the Gladiators to get back in their spot for the defense. Here they come. Transcendence coming in. That's right, Dante has that Graviton Surge, going to go ahead and use it. Can they follow up on that at all? They've got the Coalescence. Where are the kills, though? Fissure does go down on the Gladiator side. He's on the Reinhardt now. And San Francisco with a charged up Zarya. Gonna roast Bishu. And they maybe have a chance to push this. Hydration on the Junkrat now to try to break that tank line. And maybe, just maybe, they're getting a couple kills to do just that.
I love the switch to the Junkrat, though. We haven't seen a ton of Junkrat today, despite the fact that he's still very strong. And he's particularly strong against tank-heavy compositions because of how fast you can get that Riptire up over and over and over again. Make sure you kill their supports immediately afterwards. Also great at busting through these Reinhardt shields.
True enough. Sound barrier, San Francisco getting aggressive. Here comes a Riptire. Can they stop it? Little bit of damage onto the tanks here. They've got Nomi low, and there goes Dak. Nomi falls as well. He had nearly no health left again. And Gladiators storming back into this defense. San Francisco stopped cold. That payload has not moved too much, and that's a nasty delay onto Nevix too.
Hydration played that so well. Nomi hit a 3-man Earth Shatter, and it looked like it was going to be disastrous for the Gladiators, but the counter of the Riptire forced the Shock back so they couldn't take advantage of the crowd control. And that made a massive difference in that fight.
So now you've got Baby Bay swapping over to that Pharah to try to take advantage of the fact that the Junkrat's going to have a tough time handling it. We'll see what he can do. Gladiators just deciding they're going to go aggressive here, try to ignore the Pharah as best they can. Ooh, Hydration a little bit of trouble. Big Goose low as well.
The thing about Triple Tank and Pharah, though, is you have some barriers on the side of the Gladiators. You don't need to deal with the Pharah. You can just use the Pharah chip damage to get your support ultimates up instead.
Hydration coming in, gonna maybe try to find that Pharah on the high ground. Riptire looking for victims. And he gets a D-Mech onto Nevix. All right, that is something.
That's great value.
A Baby Bay low taken out long range by Bishu, just slow enough so that the D.Va can finish him off.
I mean, what do? You can't throw yourself off on this map if you're Nevix. You
Yep.
basically just have to stand there, late kill from Shaz. The Saggers on King's Row.
Oh, this is brutal, man. I mean, Hydration up on the high ground now, just trying to keep Gladiators pinned down into spawn, and now there's only a minute left for Shock. They need to get something going here in a hurry.
Now, Sleepy has that Valkyrie, but again, that's a big change where he's not going to get the instant resurrections anymore, so you can't just charge in blindly and try and take a good fight.
Oh, the pin, but Fissure a little bit too low, isolated from the rest of his team. And that's gonna be bad. Dante does go down, Bishu with a kill. And maybe with this Transcendence, the Gladiators can push this one back. They've got a lot of ults to work with. Maybe Bay with that barrage himself. And he's gonna go and use it. Oh, Shaz gets destroyed here. Bishu D-Mech'd, and San Francisco on the back of Dak's sound barrier wins the fight. They will push that payload a bit longer.
So does Hydration swap up the Junkrat right now, even though he nearly has this Riptire? Probably not.
I think you keep it, yeah.
I think he's going to keep it, and they're going to come back with 5 ultimates right now. Shock are going to have to play their hearts out and get a massive Graviton to make it to the end of point B.
That's the idea. You try to Graviton before they can stop you from getting contesting the payload, rather.
Dante has
the D.Va, though.
Only 35 charge. It's going to be difficult to get the damage.
Riptire coming in now. Graviton does get used. I think that might have gotten eaten. Oh, and there's the double kill. He gets Sleepy and Dante. Huge play from Hydration. And that's a massive fight for the Gladiators. They'll win it right here. King's Row goes to them 3-0 in this series. They'll take the match. One more map to play, but the Gladiators have it.
And they did switch up the comp. Finally, Doa, we saw the adaptation to the Slambulance coming in. Go ahead, use the Junkrat, make sure you build those tires up. And as the meta develops further, these are the kind of swaps that we're going to see here on this patch in Stage 2 of the Overwatch League. It's going to be a lot of countering strategies.
Yeah. And as good as Pharah is on that point B, you've got those tall buildings which you can just drive the Junkrat tire right up to find them, and that's what Hydration did. So, 3 wins already for the Gladiators. Map number 4 coming up right after this.
3, 2, 1. Mini Discord. Yeah, win this. Nice.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
We are back here at the Blizzard Arena in Burbank, California. Map number 4, incoming LA Gladiators. 3-map wins so far against San Francisco Shock. So they've got the match, but like we say every time, the last map really does matter. If you need any proof of that, just look at the end of the last stage. It really did come down to some very close map scores.
Yeah, some teams were very sad as a result of that. So there will be no more sadness. There will only be trying on every single map moving forward, Noah.
There you go. Yeah, so going into Gibraltar. First time we get to see this map in the Overwatch League here, one of our newer maps for stage number 2. And it looks like the Gladiators making a swap again. Asher coming in for hydration. What do you make of that, Monte Cristo?
I think this probably means that they're running double hit scan, and Asher will be playing. I mean, he could play the Widowmaker as well, but we could see probably Soldier Tracer would be my guess. Maybe we see a few shots at Widowmaker, particularly on the attack for the Gladiators. And I'm excited to see Gibraltar. It's long been a very interesting map. Tons of emphasis on high ground control for points A and B. Well, also C, actually, with the bridges that go across. So this is a map that is very much about high ground positioning, whether it's on the shuttle in B or playing towards the end of point A past the feature right here that we call the car wash that you fly underneath with the shuttle itself.
That's right. There used to be a checkpoint there, in fact, way back in the day on this map. If you played Overwatch in the early days, they actually had them there too.
Overwatch beta facts.
Yeah, that's right. Just beta facts. Back when Widowmaker could one-shot Zenyatta with a shot to the knee.
That was not a good time.
That's not a Skyrim joke. That's actually just how it was for Zenyatta back then. I was
Zenyatta had
a sniper bullet to the knee.
Yeah, you were basically just dodging behind cover.
Pretty much. But then your knee would stick out a little bit too far because you kind of have that like lotus position, and then you get taken out.
Who knew the lotus position was so deadly, Noah?
It's been a tough time for Zenyatta throughout the life of Overwatch.
Except for now. It's a great time to be Zenyatta right now. It is
unless you're Shaz, he leaves you in the dust. But,
that's not a Zenyatta problem. That's an LA Gladiators problem.
There you go. Well, it hasn't been enough of a problem to keep them from winning this series. They especially made Kings Row look very smooth. And that's a very durable tire. I want that one on my car. It can withstand bullets from a Gatling gun. That's pretty good.
Surefour is very proud of his Bastion play, by the way.
He is indeed.
He never ceases to mention it to me whenever I talk to him about how he is the best Bastion player and that he has the best Bastion stats on the ladder.
1v1 me, bro.
I think he would destroy you.
There's only one way to find out.
We'll record.
I'll tell people that it happens, and you can just believe what I say. There you go. So here we go. LA Gladiators on the attack, looking to make this a 4-0 series. San Francisco Shock would love to come away with this one with a map win here. Ooh, a lot of shots onto D.Va already. Surefour nearly getting the DMAC right off the bat.
So as expected, it will be a little bit of Widowmaker here on the start of this defense, pushing them all the way back out of the sidelines. They have nobody in the server room on the right-hand side right now, so they're not really going to be able to stop the payload efficiently.
That is a bit surprising. They're just gonna have to get aggressive. I mean, they're just gonna have to kind of dive in because you've got no flank really. Now they've got somebody over there, but it's a little bit rough. Surefour on that Widow, trying to find a shot onto Dante. A little bit dangerous whenever you come into this room, but he's got his team to support him.
This is a great position to be on the attack. If you can make it into the server room, you have so many options. First off, you can see all the way up onto the high ground on the opposite side of the point.
Ooh.
Sleepy, your head taken off by Zenyatta right click, or you can start attacking that high ground itself. So Gladiators are going to be feeling very comfortable pushing forward right now. Asher on that high ground, he's looking for that Zenyatta, but this shouldn't just be a slow push. You don't need to make this overly complicated. Just start to contest the payload itself.
Yep. Got Bishu DMAC'd. Dante finds a pretty big one right there. Getting the D.Va out of the way. LA Gladiators still up on that high ground. They're minus their D.Va though. You gotta do something at some point.
I mean, they just didn't send anybody to the payload whatsoever. Asher is there right now. He is back capping it, so you do see the movement. Finally, Nobi has to go over and stop it himself. Drops a bubble just for a little bit of extra cover. So this is taking a while, though, for the Gladiators to figure out how to move this payload.
How Surefour manages to get the pick on the Baby Bay here. That's a big one. Oh, and he is ready as Dante comes in. Now that payload getting some serious traction. Just the tanks left in the DPS for San Francisco. They're losing everybody, and that should be point A for the Gladiators. Into the hangar we will go.
So finally, Surefour gets the angle across the entire payload where we see The defenders usually stand on the high ground. That gives them the opportunity to get the kills onto Baby Bay, but they need to push it. Dak actually gets split spawned right there, spawns in the forward spawn, and that's painful and will mean the San Francisco Shock don't have a chance to get onto the shuttle and put themselves in a good position to continue their defense.
Yep. Surefour need to be careful. They're going to get the nano boost to Nomi here on the Shock side of things. Doc falls early, though, to a pick from Dak, and looks like Nomi trying to just get the backlines and disrupt things. He's on to Surefour now, but he has to back away. He only has 30 health, man. I don't know if he can survive. Gets the health pack, but he's way zoned out from the rest of his team. Nomi just going on vacation. Meanwhile, back on the payload, San Francisco scrambling here to push Gladiators back, but it looks like they've gotten a little bit of stability here. Baby Bay with a big kill onto Asher.
That's a very delayed kill because Fisher and Surefour had just gotten back to their team. So now another 10 seconds will be the time they have to wait to maintain this pressure. And Bishu gets defect at the end of that too. So this is a pretty big disaster for the Gladiators. San Francisco Shock staggering the members of Los Angeles very well.
So far, so good. Here on the point B defense, and if you do get situated on that high ground near the shuttle, you can set up a pretty hard to block, or hard to break defense rather. And Shock doing an okay job of that so far. Nevix though getting demeched. Asher finds him with the pulse bomb, and this is the opportunity that the Gladiators have been searching for. And that's a quick kills, and the payload should get some serious movement here.
Oh yes it will. Baby Bay has to draw back, does end up with a shot from Surefour as he retreats. No death for him, however. Fisher sitting on that Primal Rage. They should be able to push this through. And zoning out with the Primal Rage and the self-destruct.
Oh, Baby Bay's going to have the Dragon Blade. If he can get to the back lines, he can stop this one cold. And he's going to pull it out right now. He's going to try anyway. I think that self-destruct is something to be a bit concerned about. He dodges it here. Doesn't get any kills. And Surefour ready. That is point B taken by the Gladiators.
You need to know that the self-destruct and the Primal Rage are there. It's very unlikely that between those two ultimates you're going to get kills with the Dragon Blade, because you're either everyone's going to cluster around the self-destruct on the point, or the Winston's simply going to punch you away from the supports. And Fisher just stays on the payload, punches everybody off of it. Payload keeps moving, and they go ahead and take that point. So Baby Bay gets nothing at all from the Blade.
You got to be aware of where the ultimates are at for the enemy team right now. Somebody's got to be keeping track of that, and it didn't happen there. No kills from that Dragon Blade. Meanwhile, Surefour is still on that Widowmaker. Sleepy goes ahead and uses the Transcendence as they push him, but it doesn't stop Baby Bay from getting picked here. And that Transcendence didn't really get anything for San Francisco Shock. No kills. Nomi falls instead. Now the Transcendence for Gladiators coming in. And once again, Shock getting pushed back to their spawn. Big Goose does fall.
And the grind continues, but Nevix made a very good self-destruct play because he forced the Transcendence out and made Big Goose fly forward into the waiting arms of his DPS. So he got a support ultimate and a support kill just by placing it in the right location and zoning people into his teammates. So Shock will hold.
I think if you're the Gladiators, they're pretty happy right now. You've got 3 ults coming into this next push. You got basically everything out of your opponent in that last fight. And so I think you're feeling pretty good with 2 minutes on the clock and such a decent little ult edge coming into this one.
Yeah, you are. And Surefour is going to make the transition away from the Widowmaker finally to the Soldier 76. Baby Bay now briefly was on the Genji, of course. Now he's going to be onto the Roadhog. So he will hook in Bishu. That's going to be a defect.
Gets caught again. There goes Surefour. 2 quick kills already for San Francisco Shock. And that's going to be a tough push for Gladiators to make anything out of. Ooh, that was a close call here. He gets out of the hook, but he can't get out of the rest of the damage coming in from Roadhog, and Baby Bay with another one. And that was a couple ults used for LA Gladiators too on that.
There have been a lot of hooks that have hit Bishu. His positioning has been punished time and time again. He's been spending a lot of time out of his suit during this series. Baby Bay crouching, hiding in wait, and that will punish Surefour.
The sneakiest Roadhog, man. Another pick onto Surefour.
Ooh, we get the trance too. That's such a bonus.
Yeah.
No possibility to save Surefour. Transcendence comes in late, and Gladiators starting to panic, throwing their ults left and right, and Shock setting up a nice defense.
Yeah, it's getting pretty messy now. Only a minute left for the Gladiators. Gonna have sound barriers up for both teams here. As we start to look at the last couple fights, maybe one last big one for the Gladiators. Two if they end up losing and falling back really quick here. Dante, he's got the sound barrier. They're going in with the whole hog as well, trying to push everybody back. And Fissure, meanwhile, jumps in, gets her a first kill onto Sleepy with the dive. And that's a big one for Asher. 2 on that pulse bomb, and the Gladiators turn it right back around. I think San Francisco overextended on that one.
They did. Fissure corralled the members of Shock into a corner, and Asher just planted the pulse bomb on them. They were way too aggressive with that sound barrier and the whole hog.
I gotta stay on the payload now, gotta keep it pushing. Pulse bomb, trying to keep people, or trying to let them get on a spawn anyway. San Francisco now back on the Gladiators a little bit. They're gonna use the Transcendence. They need to charge towards this payload right now. We're into OT. Big Goose falls. Baby Bay on that McCree. Oh, he gets 2. There's Surefour as well. Bishu eliminated. And that may be about it. So a long push, but the Gladiators can't quite get it there. That's 2 points for them. An opportunity for San Francisco to win that map if they can push it just a little bit farther.
Shock race out the doors with the Transcendence, and the healing for the hold, enough for them there. Did get very dicey though when the Shock committed so hard and they left Fissure in the back line with Asher to pick up some support and tank kills. Now we will swap over for the San Francisco Shock to plan their attack. It looks like
we see maybe a bit more dive from these guys. It would not surprise me too much.
Yeah, it looks like right now they may be thinking about that Widowmaker, which does make sense with the long open sight lines on this first point.
Yeah.
And it will be, looks apparently like more dive with Surefour on the Genji. So interesting that they want to run that on the defense instead of a soldier tracer look, which is very common on point A.
Well, I mean, you're kind of expecting Baby Bay to play that Widowmaker here, and if you run the Genji, you know, you're hoping to get some reflex, shut down that Widow. So I think that's the plan, is to try to use the Genji to kind of handle the expected Widowmaker from Baby Bay.
Yeah, it's just interesting because this is a decision that the coaches have made, and we almost entirely see Hydration playing the Genji on this team, and you'd think that in the last one at least, I mean, if they really want to run the Widow Tracer, Surefour and Asher both play Widow and Tracer, so you sort of have to run them together, and Hydration doesn't necessarily have the flexibility on those heroes. But it does leave you with a position where Surefour is not necessarily your top Genji player on this roster.
Sure enough. Shaz sticking on Diana for the second 2 here. He will start off with that one. They're going to have that Nano Blade a little bit later to pair with Surefour's Genji. And here comes Shock, aggressively diving onto that top ramp already.
Trying to open up that space for Baby Bay. So the peak from Bishu and Fissure. That was turned around really quickly.
Yeah, see, that's what you got to be careful about. You got to watch out for those reflects. That was a narrow miss for Baby Bay. Nearly had his head taken off by his own shot. Meanwhile, the rest of San Francisco has been able to push the Gladiators back a bit. Halo's been pretty much unopposed.
So where are they actually going to play more aggressively in their defense? Looks like the answer is now, right as they go into server.
Yeah, they managed to split Shock up a little bit, push some of them into server, but they're back off again. A little bit too dangerous there in the room, they decide. Dante gets to the back line. Surefour taking a lot of damage. Has to be careful as they're going to turn around on him here. Uses that recall.
Shaz is just openly healing on the top side. Finally, Dante goes to deal with him because he nearly has a nano boost.
So it comes back down. There's the stick. Oh, but no kills onto that one.
Nano boost onto Fissure.
That's right. Nano boost. He's going to try to get something done with it. Surefour gets a kill on the dock here. Fissure pushes everybody back here. And that's going to be San Francisco Shock sent back to spawn.
A little bit of a late loss of Bishu there, but trying to get that mech down, and they are going to torture Nevix with a sleep dart.
Oh, that is going to be such a huge stagger. Finally taking him out. And now Shock gonna have to wait another 8-10 seconds before they get this push really going again.
Sound barrier coming up for
or not. Dante pushes that payload a little bit.
Doing his best suit impression right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good thing to do on the Tracer, right? I mean, you at least prevent the payload from sliding backwards while your team resets.
Hey, you can see him still continuing to contest it.
That's a good thing to do.
Asher.
Oh, he gets the stick from the top ropes. Asher with the pulse bomb onto Baby Bay. That's a great start for the Gladiators in this fight here. Shock having to be very careful. They're just going to give up. Yeah, going to back up and reset again.
There's nothing you can do after that. And
no.
This is, again, where you see the difference between that Mercy meta. When somebody dies and you have an opportunity to escape, it's going to create more downtime between these fights. Picks are incredibly impactful.
Yeah, and you really need to be careful about that positioning now that Mercy's on there. Sound barrier for the Gladiators. As they engage San Francisco moving into the server room on the side. Surefour on the high ground here, maybe looking to jump in on the supports in the back lines when they show themselves. Here's your opportunity. He's got that Dragon Blade.
I mean, they didn't get anything for that sound barrier. That's actually really bad from the Gladiators.
Yeah. All right, Primal Rage, caught by Nomi. Here's a Nano Blade. Can he get in there? Trying to get onto Bishu, who's demeched already here. Surefour, oh, taken out by Sleepy. Just couldn't quite get in range fast enough. That's a crucial team fight win for San Francisco Shock. Bishu still trying to hold on the payload. The delay, maybe it's enough for the respawns to come back.
I don't like that play, Noah. You are aware that they have their own sound barrier at that point in time.
You think
if
so?
you put all your eggs in the basket, you can force them to use the sound barrier simply by pulling the Dragon Blade and pressuring them in the first place, and then you can follow it up with a nano-boosted Winston. I think you have to think 2 steps ahead about what your opponents are going to be doing instead of throwing Surefour in there with a nano-boosted Dragon Blade.
Let's see Sleepy handle that here at the end. Yeah, just kind of fragging out a bit on this Zenyatta. And yeah, he goes down, but hey, saves the Transcendence. They get the point. It's all good for San Francisco Shock right now.
Everyone heal up.
But on the Gladiator side, they did manage to bring it to under a minute on the time bank before San Francisco took the point. So it was a pretty good point A delay. Ooh, there's a pick on Nomi though.
Another nice pulse bomb from Asher to stall out San Francisco.
He's been really consistent with those on this map.
Yeah, and that was a good opportunity for San Francisco. They had a chance to keep the momentum rolling, take control of the high ground, and now they've lost it. So, in spite of having the ult advantage, Nomi dying pushes them back, and it gives the Gladiators the better positioning and a place to entrench at the top of the map.
Yep. All right, so San Francisco trying to muscle their way back onto the payload. It's going to be the sound barrier for Gladiators as they engage here. Baby Bay with that tac visor. Oh, gets taken out by Surefour. Helix Rocket comes in. Meanwhile, Dante having to stay in this room. Oh, he gets a stick out to Fissure, but Bishu the double kill with the self-destruct. Shock in a little bit of trouble now. Surefour on the run, though. He's going to get away from Nomi. And yeah, San Francisco not able to really get any progress on this payload.
There was no way out of the Angry Monkey explosion room.
No kidding.
Everybody was being punched into the self-destruct by Fissure. Once you enter, nobody leaves.
The Angry Monkey explosion room.
That's not where you want to be.
That was the name of my folk fusion band. Yeah. Let's watch that one again because yeah, it's like no, we don't want to be trapped in here.
And you see the Primal Rage coming in at the end, too. They were blocked inside the doorways.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
It's a rough time, but San Francisco back in action again. Surefour needs to take up that safer position in the back lines. Remember, again, you don't have a Mercy resing you. You really can't get caught. Bishu gets demexed. Transcendence. Barely keeping people alive right now. Surefour, ooh, barely kept alive himself as he uses that tactical visor, but San Francisco not losing a whole lot. Only Nomi, but now Baby Bay goes down, and Surefour getting the demech onto Nevix. And Asher just getting a bit of cleanup here.
And there's only the supports and Dante left. How far do they want to push this? Surefour gonna peek around the corner, doesn't like what he sees with a bunch of Zenyatta orbs.
So 30 seconds for the San Francisco Shock. They've nearly got the tactical visor. They've got the Transcendence. I think you try to just get in there with that Zenyatta ultimate once the aggression comes in from Gladiators. Set up Baby Bay.
So you have to work your way up the point. They're already there. Baby Bay is set up on the top.
Yeah, well, Baby Bay carry. They're hoping it comes through again. Meanwhile, the sound barrier used for Gladiators. They're not really doing a whole lot of fighting with it yet. Baby Bay waiting for it. Are you kidding me? Nobody was on the payload! Oh, no! The Gladiators will win Gibraltar. That is a 4-0 victory for them, but not in the way that I would have expected.
The only person dead on the side of the Shock was Sleepy.
That was just straight up, nobody was there, man. You gotta play the objectives at the end of the day, and it's a rough end for a rough series for the San Francisco Shock.
Looked like they were trying to make space and for the DPS or the supports to get onto the payload, and there was a miscommunication.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like people were kind of chasing some of the Gladiators onto the high ground a little bit there, but you know, it is what it is. And the Gladiators with a big win here in their first series, 4-0 in their first match of Overwatch League Stage 2. Really strong showing from Fissure. Obviously, there's some chemistry, some synergy things to work out. I'm sure the desk is going to have a lot more to say about that. Let's send it over to them and hear what they've got to say.
And then...
All right, guys, it's time to close out the show here as we take a look at the final action. It's the Gladiators on top. And what a big win it was today. We saw at the end of Stage 1, this team looked like they were just about to get into the top 6. Now it looks like with the addition of Fissure, this team has all the pieces they may need.
They got better as the series progressed, actually. I think towards the later half of Gibraltar, they were actually figuring out how to synergize together in their dives, and it looked really good.
So it's a 4-0 today. Let's talk about the biggest improvements you saw from the Gladiator sideshow.
I think just over the course of the match, we saw them have less of those instances where they missed the timings and instead were on the same page as Fissure throughout. And I also really enjoyed when we were playing King's Row, the fact that they were able to flex over to things like the Reinhardt and the no, not the Zarya, but the Reinhardt and the Junkrat that we saw coming out from LA Gladiators. Because that shows that even though Fissure's only been in the team for a very short amount of time, they have the skill and the confidence in themselves to be able to run other strategies.
Now, we saw some big team fights, of course. We always see this in Overwatch. But let's talk a little bit about King's Row in particular, because we had some long, drawn-out battles.
Well, we did have some long, drawn-out battles, and this is the one that we're looking at the San Francisco Shock playing quad tank. And it looks great, right? They start off getting a bunch of picks, B-shoots down, but the Gladiators are going to be making a comeback. What this video is really going to be highlighting is what I think was a big issue, and what going forward is going to be a big issue for the Shock, is that this team, I don't think they can play quad tank. I think they immediately swapped over into triple tank, and you're going to just see why.
Yeah, and these ultimates coming out here were one of the biggest reasons. Fissure with a clutch block there, and then this Graviton that just flies out of nowhere from Dante, unfortunately, as he gets booped away. And then, whoa, why have you just grabbed Fissure over in the corner while he's in Mini Diva? Who can say?
And he actually had 3 grabs this entire game, and 2 of them were eaten, and that one was the other one.
Yeah,
it was just a very unfortunate game of Zarya.
I will give Dante credit, though. When you did watch him on your screen, he was charged up. So he's using the bubbles well. Just got to work on that grab play. Overall, do you want to see Dante on Zarya in the future? Because we talked about it working for Shanghai. Not a good idea, Carl.
No, I'm not feeling it at all. Like, sure, the damage was there, but this team just needs a lot more cohesion. And I think that utilizing those ultimates in the way that they did is just a display that they need to work on a lot more than just it going to the quad tank. You don't really need to play quad tank right now. You can go with triple. You can even go with dive and other strategies. I mean, it works for teams like Shanghai Dragons that are a little bit struggling, to say the least, but I still think that it's not his style. He was already working on Tracer. 2 heroes to work on is maybe too much.
All right, let's talk about the Shock here, Sideshow. We saw them lose all 4 of the games they played today. They only have 3 match wins so far across their 11 matches. How do they bring it back? What do they need to fix with these maps in particular that you saw?
So I think what we saw in general throughout the match today is that even though they're putting out a huge amount of damage, and we saw this across the entirety of Stage 1, Babybay and Dante were both in the top 5 damage dealers throughout the whole of Stage 1. That's ridiculous for a team that was at the lower end of the table, but their timing is way off. When they're doing the damage, they're not finishing off kills, they're not being able to get big picks when they need them. I think Nomi in particular needs to be a bit more of a linchpin in terms of their aggression. Yes, you're getting the damage out, but I think he really needs to take control of the team and be aggressive with Dante, because they already have this passive backline damage coming out from Babybay.
I think what the highlight highlights is really how the damage statistic can be very skewed and is not completely representative of a team's success. You can just be wailing away at a tank 24/7 and you're going to be the #1 damage dealer the whole time. You can be Widowmaker, not even go for headshots. You're not killing anybody. You're still top in the charts when it comes to damage. So I think that that stat can be very facetious when it comes to presenting how a team is doing very well, and it just looks really good that they're dealing damage, but across the board in other categories they're dropping the ball.
Speaking of stats, we'll take a look at a few of these numbers here. Sideshow moving forward, we know the Gladiators, they have 4 map wins. Who did the most work for the squad if you could pick one player?
I think it's difficult to pick one player, actually, because I think it's really two. I think Fisher coming into the team had a fantastic performance. I think he outplayed Nomi across the board, really. He had higher eliminations, higher kills. He had lower deaths. I mean, the guy was playing phenomenally. But also Surefour had a hell of a performance, particularly throughout the beginning of the first map, and then going forwards, he kind of missed out one in the middle. But just a very consistent performance the whole time.
All right, well, Sideshow, unfortunately, Fissure did not earn our Player of the Match honors, sponsored by Omen, by HP. Instead, we had to give it to the Silver Fox. Once again, it is Surefour on DPS, getting the job done. It all started back on the first map, but he continued in the second half. You take him out for a game or two, no problem. He comes right back in, and stellar performance on this Tracer, Crumbs.
Yeah, his Tracer was very good. He was able to work incredibly well with Fissure, which is what made him look that much better. Before, you're struggling because we were talking about how tanks are creating space for the DPS, but now that you got a tank that is basically an MVP all the time, he's going to make his DPS look just that much more polished.
And I am so impressed, actually, by the coordination between Surefour and Fisher, because they haven't had that much practice together. And also, Surefour doesn't speak Korean. He was playing Tracer so well throughout this whole match. You normally think of Asher as the Tracer for the LA Gladiators.
Right.
He does speak Korean. You would expect that to be the synergy, but instead it's Surefour coming out here.
Well, we also, it's not like Fissure doesn't speak any English too, right? He's learning English.
He can
Spitfire has been learning English as well,
Yes,
so I think that we have to give him some credit.
I don't think Surefour has been learning Korean.
Overall, the whole team is looking better. We can say that Fissure, the addition, unlocking that start DPS that we knew existed in Stage 1, now you're able to take it to the next level here in Stage 2. And speaking of Stage 2, let's recap our first day of action. It all started with the Seoul Dynasty getting revenge over the Valiant. You remember Week 5? Back in Stage 1, it was all Valiant, 3-0 in that series. Now it's the Dynasty on top. Dallas feel looking better than they did in the past against the Dragons. This one only went to 4 maps. And now the Gladiators hand the Shock their first match loss. So when we look at the overall league standings, it's the Big 5 in the front. You're going to see Seoul Dynasty jump back into that #2 place. Keep your eyes, of course, on the Valiant. Boston is threatening for that #5 spot. The rest of this mix, though, you look at 7 through 12. Who do you expect to see climb into the second?
I want to see the Gladiators now, because I'm thinking that this newly invigorated Gladiators team might be making a run for the same spots where Philly, Boston, LA, and Houston are, which is trying to compete towards the upper echelons. They're not there just yet, but they're starting to improve to be there.
For me, it's got to be Florida Mayhem. When they come into it, and they've got a game in tomorrow as well, they are a team that previously in a meta like this performed super well. And I think coming forward to Stage 2, they could be great.
If you only watch Stage 1, you know nothing about the boys on the Mayhem. I'm with you, Sideshow. They need to get it started tomorrow, though, and it's not against the team you want to play. New York Excel, our #1 squad on the leaderboard, facing off at 6 p.m. But make sure you guys join us once again. All of the games now on Thursday, kicking off at 4 p.m. Pacific. And of course, you want to stay around to the very end. Boston versus Philly, the rematch, closes out our day 2. For day 1, it's been a fantastic day. Thanks for everyone tuning in online and everyone here in the Blizzard Arena. We'll see you tomorrow.